I think one must say it was the last version of the Silmarillion that he couldn't finish. He couldn't finish a Silmarillion that would stand in relation to the Lord of the Rings. It was inevitable that the Lord of the Rings must alter the Silmarillion, because having once been, as I've said, an enclosed myth with a beginning and an end, it now has the vast extension. And in the Lord of the Rings, there are major figures who come out of the elder days, out of the primeval world of the Silmarillion, chief among them Galadriel. So a great deal of writing back would have to be done. But my father being who he was, this writing back would never be a simple thing, because when Galadriel enters out of the Lord of the Rings into the world of the elves in Valinor, new stories begin. Right up to the end of his life, Galadriel's position in the elder days was still being developed. So this was a major problem, but I think there were deeper problems than this. I think that in his later years, he had become detached in a way from the old legends, Turin, Beren, and so on. And they were immensely important to him, but they were things that, they were like the legends of the real world, which he could observe and study. And he became more and more interested, I think, more and more interested in the, what you might call, the metaphysical aspects of his secondary invention. Above all, with the nature of the elves. Because it is absolutely fundamental to the whole conception is that men are mortal and elves are immortal. And as he declared, I'm sure rightly declared, the fundamental underpinning concern of all his work was death, the intolerable fact. And the nature of the elves, going right back to the Book of Lost Tales, was above all that they were immortal. They were not naturally destined to die. They could be killed because they had bodies. But they were not in their nature destined to die, whereas men are of their nature destined to spend only a short while in the world, whereas the life of the elves was coterminous with the life of Arda. Arda being the elvish word for the world, our world, of which Middle-earth was a part. And so in his later years, he became involved in profound attempts to determine the nature of an immortal being who is nonetheless incarnate and possesses a body. This would, in turn, was beginning to develop new stories within the Silmarillion. And I think the whole thing simply became too large, too complex, to have so precise, to attempt to impose so precise a metaphysical explanation on it. It was perhaps a task for a younger man. The flame began to die down, and he hadn't the energy left that would be needed for such a huge transformation. Some people who knew him well thought that he didn't really, have said that he didn't really want to finish the Silmarillion, suggesting even that at some level he felt that to finish the Silmarillion would be finishing his life. I personally don't think that at all. I don't think there's any real evidence for it. I think he deeply wanted to finish it, but couldn't. Too large a task, too tired.